Are you here?
Present.
Present. Spoonie, Timothy Spoonie.
Present, sir.
Margaret and Mary. Do we have a Margaret and Mary?
Yes. Cool. And the margaritas.
All right. Class here. We're ready. Let's go.
Yes, let's go.
Okay.
This is the time to line up behind your team, to support your team. Have faith in that team.
You know, it's peaks and valleys. You know, it can't always be good. And as I always tell people, you're never as good as you think you are, and you're never as bad as you think you are. But when we do know about
house call, Trevon Diggs pick six. It's coming. They see it. Knocked away. Oh, Gregory! Hurts in trouble. 3 Cowboys wrap him up, make it 4. Micah Parsons is unblockable.
I have too many phones going off in the background, and I didn't know. I just heard my phone over here on the charger go, whoa, whoop. I'm like, oh, I didn't mute it. I'll fix that in a second. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, you're now tuned into the Pick Six Live Wednesday show, season 4, episode 21. And we're to the bye week, ladies and gentlemen. We are into the bye week. Trade deadline just passed. Maybe release somebody. We added somebody. There's some things to get into, little outlook-sees and where we think about this team. But with that being said, let me roll out the red carpet because royalty is back finally. She's been hella busy. She's been absent on Twitter. And she hasn't been on the show. They were working her. They had her on the grindstone. Miss Marielle is back in the building. Mary, how are we doing this Wednesday?
Good. I'm feeling a little bit free, but we'll see less.
Paquito free. Paquito.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm free for a night. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Awesome. Glad to have you back on the show. A lot of transpired since the last time you've been here. We'll do the old how you feeling? Here, maybe up here, maybe down. How you feeling? We'll get into a lot of stuff, but
yeah. Ooh,
just
it's
yeah,
a lot.
no.
I can't really call it. Part of me is like, okay, I'm a little happy with some things, and the other part of me is a little slightly disappointed and just hoping we can overcome it regardless. So.
Okay. All right, fair. I got Robert says, who is she? She new here? She's missed some time, but you know. With that being said, and of course for all those that tuned into the pre-show space, me and Spoon's over there rocking. Spoon, tell the folks how you doing.
I'm doing good. You know, a long day, but a long good day. You know, let's say with the trade deadline, I was pretty much, you know, active. All my electronics, swiping up and down, refresh. You know, so today I was out all day, and you know, talking with some folks, you know, about their NFL team. Like, yeah, that sounds nice. That's good. You know, but other than that, I'm great. I'm happy to be here. Football this week. We get to be spectators on a 6-2 record, and I just hope that things fall into our favor.
That part, my guy Lunatic said, the Queen has declared margaritas don't drink
Queen.
themselves.
That is correct.
That they do not drink themselves. Man, as everybody's coming in, man, we appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure you hit that old thumbs up, hit the old like skis for your folks. And by all means, y'all know y'all are sub. Man, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Let it be known out there. With that being said, Spoon, I guess let's dive right there. Because you did talk about the trade deadline. I know we got some other things. We'll give away some midseason awards. We're going to talk about the outlook and whatnot, where the team sitting at 6-2, where they think they can end up at by the end of the year. But let's go ahead and start with the pressing issue here. The trade deadline. The trade deadline. Now, I have a different outlook than a lot of people. I just do. And I don't think, as Miss Nixon in the bill says, she agrees. Margaritas do not drink themselves.
Me too. You know what's up.
Yeah. But I think in general here, I look at it a little bit differently. I understand, Spoon, what you're talking about, and maybe some disappointment. Right. But they did make a move, and I think the move was very important for this team, because I've been pounding the table here for a while. I've pounded the table. I'm like, this run defense is not there. And they made a move, and they went and got Jonathan Hankins. Now I get it. The Cowboys, we wanted to trade for him a few years ago, or not trade for him, but sign him in free agency, I should say.
Yeah, we wanted him. Happen.
Yeah. We want the fatties. Remember our guy? What you call it?
We were begging. We were like, please.
Bring us the fatties. But it didn't happen. But you know what? What they say, better late than never. True. And look, and adding him into the mix, he played 33 snaps against the Bears. I know y'all gonna say, well, the Bears rushed for over 200 yards. It's true. It's fair. But two things can be true at the same time. Out of his 33 snaps, 10 of those were runs, and they averaged less than 3.5 yards per carry. That's going to trend up. So even though it wasn't the week of the trade deadline, they did make a move. I'll kind of get into that a little bit later, because we'll kind of overcompass and look at the NFC and what happened. But let's get to the dirty. Mary, trade deadline for you was
so once I saw the Hankins thing happen, I didn't expect anything else to happen. And I know, like, I kind of was glancing back and forth and seeing people want a wide receiver, which, I've complained about the wide receivers ever since the offseason. I've been saying that even if, even when they looked like they were improving during some of the games, it's still like, I feel like we needed more. And I still feel like that, because any minute, if Gallup regresses, if his knee, has more issues, because he's had multiple issues with his knee since he's been on the team. So it's not like it's out of the question that could happen again. If James Washington doesn't come back when they say he's going to come back, if something happens with CeeDee Lamb, what are we going to do? And so, I 100% agree with most people saying that we needed a wide receiver. And them trying to get Brandon Cooks. I think I like Brandon Cooks. I think he's got a raw deal with who he's had to play with, the teams he's been on. And I would have liked to have him. And I understand why they didn't do it, but also I think they probably over-exaggerate how hard they tried. They know the trade deadline when it's coming every year. And when it's coming down to the last day, that I feel like they might have thought about it, but it wasn't a high priority for them. And then, deadline happened. Sorry, we couldn't make it happen. Like, it wasn't a priority, in my opinion.
Right. And one of the words as we were on the space that we kind of got was the Cowboys were willing to trade for Cooks. Cooks wanted to be here. Mm-hmm. The breakdown was the Texans would not eat any of the $18 million in year 2 of the contract. So I understand it. Like from that standpoint there, like, look, if we're going to bevy up and let's say we're going to point up, let's call it a second round pick. Let's say it was a second round pick. And honestly, even if it was a third round pick, they had to eat something off that $18 million. Yeah. And they didn't. And now they got a whole different scenario here now with him. And we've seen the tweet from him and what he had to say and whether they're going to just outright release him and do some things. Man, shout out to a guy, Dash. What's going on, man? For sure. Thanksgiving, it goes down. So I understand that standpoint. So if they wasn't willing to eat it, the Cowboys couldn't give it. If you understand.
Yeah, and I understand the money issue and I understand all that. But my only problem, especially after the fact, was that Stephen Jones goes out and says there's other ways to build a team outside of trading. And it's like, okay, but you don't do free agency either, which
Oh.
we know there were multiple guys that could have went after him as wide receivers or as other players in free agency, especially when you knew that Gallup was coming back from injury, especially when you knew you didn't want to keep Amari Cooper. You ignored that need in free agency too. It's not like there was nobody out there.
James Washington, ma'am. They signed James Washington.
And we still don't know when he's going to be back.
They drafted Jalen Tolbert.
And when is he hitting the field? Like, it's just
They signed Turpin.
And they don't use him except on jet sweeps. It's like do something, like that little meme that's like poking. Do something.
Yeah. Hey, do something.
Do something. Like, if you only want to use Kevontae Turpin on jet sweeps, okay, that's cool. But go get a real wide receiver. You don't think he's a real wide receiver. If once James Washington got hurt and you knew he was going to be out for a long time, okay, that's cool. Go get somebody else. You knew Gallup was going to be out for a long time. Okay, that's cool. Get somebody else. You knew you didn't want Amari Cooper. Okay, that's cool. Go get somebody else. They had options. And to say, oh, there's other ways besides trades, and then don't do anything in free agency, and you never do, and you say you're not going to do anything in free agency. Every year we come up on free agency. You sound ridiculous. Like you're just trying to sell us shit on a stick. And I don't like shit on a stick. I don't know about y'all, but I assume it's pretty gross.
Yeah, it's gross. and I think the thing for me in general is what I heard from Steven today. I got the tweet up about it. Was as he was talking about the wide receiver core and what they had, he got to Turpin, and he said that they're trying to get their hands around what he can do offensively. And I'm like, pause.
It's like week 8.
Full pause. Training camp, preseason. We played 8 games, and you're trying to get your hands around what he can do from the wide receiver position besides the Jets. Like, stop it. It's like somebody said, well, maybe go out there and get Tavon Austin. I'm like, why? So you have 2 Turpins then? Because when Tavon Austin was here, it was the same stuff.
Yeah,
it was the same stuff. And then I got told because of my tweet that's been going ham here lately. Professor O's late, but he's here.
What up?
What's up?
Tardy, sir. We're marking a tardy on your professor. You're tardy. The students were here. You were late. You know. In college, like 10 minutes, we were able to leave and not get an absence. But neither here nor there. Welcome to the show.
I wish I could do that for work. Like, my boss isn't here. I can leave.
But going back to that, when somebody told me about that, then I got told, well, Turpin's just too small. Was Cole Beasley too small?
Exactly. They're like the same size.
Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah. So
again, there's definitely some Kyle Robertson class dismissed. But no, there's definitely, like, you're wrapping your hands around it, and you've had him here for over 2 months. Like, what are we doing?
Ridiculous.
Yeah, what are we doing? Spoonie, I'll pivot over here to you. Trade deadline.
Well, I'm upset. I'm mad at Miss Mary because of her not being here last week. The trade deadline talk, I fell right into the trap. Normally, in the past, she would wheel me out with the lasso and say, "No, Spoon, it's not gonna happen." So I went crazy yesterday. Okay, happy to see you, Miss Mary.
I apologize. I wasn't here. I should have had a babysitter. Matt, why weren't you babysitting him?
He made me.
I just let him go. I let Spoonie do his own thing.
He's the worst with the button. I love the button.
He's a grown man. I just let him do what he wants.
Mary, you might have missed one of the most, definitely a top 3 Spoonie sermon of all time.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta go back and check it out.
yeah, that part. But go ahead, Spoon.
But answer the question. Hey, listen, I have a high school diploma. I'm not a millionaire. We're not done. Okay, we've talked to so many people in our lifetime, whether they a coworker, a supervisor, or a boss. When the time we give it our sheet for us to be off for a day, and you get the side combo. Oh, we got it to late, or we tried, and we always say, yeah, you bullshit. You understand? So, Stephen Jones, listen, you've been on the same thing, the same course for a long time already. Every time when the Cowboys are room to get somebody or somebody comes up with, in the name of them getting, what happens? We tried, we did our due diligence, and it didn't work out. Right? This is all the time. Now,
Not the
don't
double
get me
D.
wrong.
Oh, he hit the double D. Oh, he hit the double D. Due diligence.
Early today in the space, BJ pointed out to me that he put the article up there saying that they wanted to trade a second round pick for Brandon Cooks, but the Texans didn't want to eat up that $18 million guarantee. Hey, that's fine. I get that, but here's my question, Stephen Jones. This is my question to you. Okay, so you mean to tell me you got up at 7 in the morning, you had your McGriddle with your dad, right?
Little salt on it.
You mean to tell me for 8 hours of the whole day, you was only conversing with the Houston Texans about?
That's what I'm saying. Like, we just couldn't make the deadline. That doesn't even.
I mean, 31 teams were receivers. You mean to tell me you didn't take a peep on their roster and go, hey, we know that this guy hasn't been playing or anything like that? Is he because there was a time where we got a Laurent Robinson. Remember Laurent Robinson? Maybe on the depth chart charges, right? We needed receiver help. You got him. Oh my God, he got 1,000 yards that year. Signed a big ass contract with the Jacksonville Jaguars. See, those are the moves I'm okay that you're making. It don't got to be a big name splash. So you mean to tell me the whole 8 hours, it was only Cooks and that's it? Wow, unbelievable. Listen, I'm happy about this team. We wouldn't, there's a lot of us who would think, especially me, after Dak went down, we would be where we at today. I'm still riding hard for this team going forward. I'm just, the one thing that we all have in common, we wanted a receiver in case the injury happened at the receiver position.
Right.
Hopefully that doesn't happen, and if it does, hopefully we all be wrong that there is somebody on that who could take over and hold it down.
Yeah, I mean, adequate NFL depth at the wide receiver position. I asked this question on the space, so I'm going to ask it to the chat, and I'm going to ask the round table here. Would you given up the second round pick for Claypool, Mary?
Ooh, I don't know about Claypool. I don't know about that. I like Brandon Cooks as a player more. Okay. I understand, though, because there's a huge disparity in how much they're making.
Mm-hmm. But would you have done it? If you're the Cowboys, would you do it?
I don't think so. I don't know if he's worth it.
Spoonie, I know you already said no. I know you already said no. Would you give up the second for Claypool?
Not for Claypool.
Pause. Right there. And look, as we're going through the chat, let me get through the chat here real quick. I got a yes. Got a no. I got a no.
See, I say no.
I got a hell no.
So I say no.
TC Wrench gang in the building. Hell no.
My only reason for kind of like being on the fence about it
you're okay.
Is because it's just because like I glanced and I saw someone mentioning our second round picks and how we use them and how many we still have from over the years. And I mean, we don't do much with that pick.
Look. I'm sending it. Here, pause.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We don't. That's my only thought.
I'm sending it. Either you're going all in or you're not. I get it. 1.5 year. You don't get the 5th year option. It's a 1.5 year rental. I understand that. Either we're all about this year or we're not. And that's where I get caught up a little bit within the conversation throughout the Twitterverse and different things is, well, we want to narrow in on this thing. Or maybe what about this guy? But I'm like, okay, who actually got traded? Look at all the wide receivers that got traded, right? Let's be honest. I'm still from Spoonie right now. Let's be honest. All the wide receivers that got traded. Tony was never going to happen within the division, right? Yeah. You're not trading for Ridley. That's a wild ass trade, anyways. Excuse my language, but that's a crazy.
Yeah, I mean he can do nothing for you right
now.
Yeah,
right.
That's crazy.
Okay, and then who? Claypool got traded, right? Who else got traded at the deadline, wide receiver wise? Am I missing anybody? That's it, right?
That's it.
There was a tight end trade, obviously, but wide receiver. That's it.
Yeah. Wide receiver. Then you pull the trigger. If that what was available, and the word is Packers offered a third, Bears came with a second. You could enter the 4A, offered a second. Like, what are we doing? What are we talking about? Because if you're going all in and it's about this year, don't tell me about the compensation, what's going to happen down the road. Because after a year and a half, he's gone. You get a comp pick, and you get your second round pick back at that point.
Yeah,
so
That was my thinking as far as like we don't really do much with our second round picks.
Doesn't like it. Doesn't like it. That's okay. Jump in there. I saw the face. You said.
But I agree. Like I agree on that note. Like we don't do much with our second round picks in any way. It's another guy who we know can do some things, and like you mentioned, like somebody mentioned, he hasn't had as good a QB as Dak.
It's fair.
So,
and if you look at the same with Big Ben, he played better. But you got some pushback. Go right ahead,
I'm just looking at it too. Like realistically, knowing that the Bears made an offer and the Bears have a better draft pick or potentially than what we would have to give 2+. So that's really what the question should be: is knowing what was given up now. We call the Bears and offer our second. Not the Bears. Sorry, we call the Steelers and offer our second. And they're like, "Hey, we got a better offer. Are you willing to do a 2+?" That's where it kind of changes.
And then you say, "Hey, here's a second, Hill, and a fifth, and we'll call it a day."
See, that's a different conversation, though. So
it's fair. It's fair.
That's different than saying the two. But
okay,
would you give up a second and Hill then? Oh,
I would not give up a second for him in general, personally.
Right. So that's why I put it.
That's where kind of.
But again, that's why I brought it up. It wasn't about what the Bears and the intricacies. It's more about Cowboys Nation and the brain trust here, and what we're talking about the Cowboys going all in more so than what actually happened is what I'm talking about. Because the majority, I'm on an island basically. Nobody wants to give up a second. But I'm like, well, don't talk to me about going all in if you're not going to give a second for Claypool. Because at the end of the day, for me and how I view it is, I don't care about the ramifications. It's about this year and getting in there. If he's here, the wide receiver room's better. And if you take an L on Lamb or Gallup, he's here. That's what we're trying to do is fortify this group to get there. So I think it's very interesting, just the dichotomy of the differences, opinions from Cowboys Nation would say, go all in. But then you bring up like, okay, well, you give it the second for Claypool, and the majority of them are like, no. And I'm like, okay, so you want to go all in on your own terms. My reason saying that is because Stephen Jones wanted to go all in on his terms.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Happen.
See here, I guess where I'd push back too is I don't see Chase Claypool as a going all-in guy. I think improving your wide receiver room, yes, he would do that. I don't think he's a big enough addition to really make – I'll put it this way, rewording it. He doesn't move the needle enough for me to make that a move where it's an absolute no-brainer I'm sending a second. I totally get the angle of what we've done with our second-round picks versus how many actually got – second contract in Dallas. A lot of the guys that we have spent a second round pick on weren't bust, right? Like Randy Gregory, Cheeto, Connor Williams, guys like that. They weren't here. We drafted and developed them, and now they're elsewhere.
Then we let them go. Yeah.
So to that angle, yes, it makes sense. But I'm just looking at it too as if it's a Jerry Jeudy with a 2+, I do that. If it's a Brandon Cooks, the contract obviously would have to come down. But I obviously wouldn't have given up a second round for him either. But I get the idea of going all in. I just don't see Claypool as a guy that's enough of a he's not. If we say we're going to win 12 games right now with the existing roster, he's not a now we're winning 14 games type of guy. So to me, like not getting him is not that big of a deal.
But there's no wide receiver we would have got. But pause. There's no wide receiver we would have added would have got us to 14 wins. There's not a +2 wide receiver out here.
That's fair. So
I don't think
then it comes down to, does it make sense to give up a second for them at all? If none of them are a +2 type of guy or obviously the impact we got from Amari Cooper versus whatever was available this year, we wouldn't have gotten that. Like we want that as Cowboys fans, but we wouldn't have gotten that because there wasn't an Amari Cooper type of player available. But there were good players that could have helped the team out. And there were several guys that would make the wide receiver room better and give you more stability, give you more security and stuff like that. It's just a matter of contractually does it make sense or draft pick wise does it make sense. And Jerry Jeudy was the guy for me I would have done because you have the extra team control. That's where the difference in him and Claypool comes into play because you have to sign Claypool right away. Where Jeudy, you don't have to do anything. But
I mean, you got a whole year and a half. You had the rest of this year and one more year. No, you had the rest of this year and next year. But again, he's a second round pick. You don't have the 5th year option that you did with Jeudy. Word is maybe second and a fourth for Jeudy, possibly. I don't know if that's true or not. That's what we're kind of hearing. I would have done that. No problem. Yeah, I would have done that. I'm right there with you. But the other side too is if I think about the rest of the season, I'm talking about Claypool, Gallup outside with Lamb in the slot. I'm taking that for the run this year. If that turns into the championship game or the Super Bowl, I don't even care what happens after that. You feel pretty good about it. And that's just kind of where I look at it. But again, just from the mindset and the thought process of Cowboysation of the all in, because that's the hot word. Remember, we had the hot buzz. We needed dogs, and then all of a sudden we need tough guys, and then now to the all in hot word. I'm like, okay, well, how much do you want to go all in? And I just find it very interesting. Like Claypool, most people say no, I wouldn't do that. Okay, but that's because of your thought process and how you look at it. It's the same thing that happened with Cooks. We just have to be honest. So Stephen Jones said, no, I'm willing to go all in, but on my terms. And I just think that's the indicative thing here when we talk about it. It doesn't get talked about enough in general. With that being said,
to your point, though, real quick, putting a bow on it, if you send a 2 and a 6 or 2 and a 5 or whatever that is that the Steelers are like, that's better than the Bears offer. So we'll call it a 2 and a 5 for Claypool.
Sure.
He plays for you and helps you win a Super Bowl or helps you in a Super Bowl run. Next year, he plays the last year of his deal and then leaves. You can get a 3rd round comp pick back or 4th round.
Right.
So there is validity to it. It's just a matter of how I value Claypool as a player and how other people do. It just may not align. But he's not a bad player. I think league-wide, we kind of saw that. That was the consensus when the Bears made that trade. Everybody's like, a 2? Really? Like that's just more than what people thought the Steelers were going to get back in return. So.
Right, but here's the other thing about it, and we've seen this time and time again. They got a 2 for him, right? The Jags gave up a 2 for Ridley. Like, this is the weird market now with wide receivers.
And I mean, everybody thought the Cowboys were done for giving up a 1 for Amari, and clearly it was worth,
that part. And then even going into, and again, we go all the way back to the Amari trade. I don't want to talk about that too much. And as I always said, the Cowboys waited 24 hours. They probably walk away with a 3rd because Christian Kirk's deal. So the market for wide receivers is very volatile. And we saw what Devontae Adams got traded for. We saw what Tyreek Hill got traded for. So it's just really indifferent right now with how these guys are getting traded and where the value is and what's going on. So, again, like I said, there's another
You held him to the draft and just say, hey, the draft pick is more important than the salary cap relief because we value the salary cap relief over the draft pick. And that's how that happened.
Right. But so again, I just again, the mindset of the all in on terms and whatever, it's just whether you agree with Steven's terms when it came to Cooks and the Texans obviously not willing to budge on the $18 million versus when we talk about Claypool and what you get on that side. We'll pivot off of that. Fun talk, good talk. Now I want to get into this, and I'm going to preface this because I feel like I'm going to get kind of honey roasted on this, but it's okay. I'll take the heat here a little bit. Simply this: the Cowboys did make a move at the trade deadline. Okay, yes. And I'm gonna kind of put this. I'm gonna kind of context. I think as we always try to talk about here, context matters, right? And I get it. I understand the disappointment. Spoon, we're disappointed. We get it. We're disappointed. We understand. Adequate NFL depth at the wide receiver position is indifferent for us right now. But if we put it in context, I don't care about the AFC. I don't care what the Bills or I guess the Bills. Oh, Bills didn't make a move. Sorry, Bills, Chiefs, Dolphins. I don't care what they did because they're not in our conference. I just don't care. And look, it's been an arms race to the AFC since the offseason. We saw what the West did and everything else. I'm only concerned about the NFC. Well, there's only 4 moves that were made by teams that are contenders, right? Let's walk them out. The Niners went and got Christian McCaffrey. By far and away, the biggest move that anybody made. By far and away. And look, he's already put up 3 touchdowns, right? In one game, passing, rushing, and even receiving, all 3, right? But we kind of understand he's going to eat in that system as long as he's healthy. There's the hedging the bets there with him. Okay, the very rare interdivisional trade for TJ Hawkinson from the Lions to the Vikings kind of feels like the Lions were a little petty. Like, look, we're not going to win the division. We're tired of the Packers doing it here. Y'all go win it. I don't know. Maybe some collusion there. Maybe some collusion there in the NFC North. But
take him, and we'll give you 2 extra 4th rounds. We'll throw that in. You guys take him, get better, and we'll give you 2 4ths. Like, what type of trade is that?
Yeah.
Anybody but Aaron. Hashtag
one of your best players.
Anybody.
One of your best players to a division rival, and let's just throw in 2 4th-round picks.
Yeah,
what type of move is that?
Yeah, let's do that. So they get better, right? And obviously it comes on the heels of after the trade happened, we hear about Irv Smith Jr. He has an ankle injury. He's going to miss some time. The Eagles added Robert Quinn. Okay, cool. Their pass rush hasn't been as effective as they wanted to be. They added him. And the Cowboys went out here and added Jonathan Hankins. Guess what? Our run defense hasn't been good enough. We pounded the table here on this channel about it. Not you, Mary. You've been gone for a while, but everybody else on this channel. I'm joking. I mean, I threw underneath the bus. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mary. I'm sorry. I know you know, but I know you know already, Mary.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but in general, the run defense hasn't been good enough, and they added somebody to the middle. So those are your 4 big moves. Outside the Christian McCaffrey move, the Cowboys move to me is just as good as Minnesota and the Philadelphia Eagles. Everyone's in the all-in moment.
When I I didn't really have time to comment on it, but I saw it come across my phone, and I was like, oh, we needed somebody who could step in and really do that. And so I was very happy with it. I just knew that, people would be happy with it, but not after they found out that they went through the rest of the trade deadline with nothing else. So
yeah, I know what it is. And it's something that a lot of us Cowboy fans are not being honest about. And I'm one of them. I'm going to be very honest right now. We're jealous. We are jealous of the Philadelphia Eagles. This has been going on since
No.
Don't put me in that spoon.
I was going to say, please don't put me in that.
Let me explain. The moves. Let's be honest. We was that team a long time ago of any player that gets released or available, the Cowboys. When it came down from the draft in Vegas, when they made the move for A.J. Brown, that's when it started. We was there in Vegas. We see how excited the Eagles fans were. Howie Roseman now is in conversation. Let's be honest. In conversation is being talked about the best GM in the world because any little thing he does is for the Eagles to get better. He has a championship a couple years ago. They rebuilt the team, and look where they are right now. So as a Cowboy fan, let's be honest. We tired. We hate that. Because I speak for myself then.
Maybe. I don't know. Owen said nothing, but I don't know.
That's fine. That is fine. But at the end of the day, when it boils down to it, it's us and them. And in this division right here, even though we lost without Dak Prescott being in that building, and hearing them talk about how they beat us and X, Y, and Z, we are tired. I'm admitted. I'm tired. I feel that if you are America's team, there is no trade that can hold you back for any player you want. If you are America's team, okay, action got to speak louder than words. Of course. And no action at all. So my thing is this: how am I supposed to feel great about that? Now, again, this is a great team we are right now. This is the window of opportunity for you, for us, for the front office to be like, this is it. We heard BJ come out and say the NFC is wide open. Aaron Rodgers 3-5. Tom Brady is in a sole proper situation. So who's in the Cowboys' way? Let's be honest. Who's in our way right now?
I get your point, Spoonie, about they actively do things to improve, and it's so far helping their team. But in general, I don't look at them and be like, oh my God, I'm so there's no jealousy at all. I'm like, it's a good move
maybe
because
wrong choice of word. Wrong choice of word.
Let's rephrase it a little bit. I think naturally as Cowboys fans, when we say we're jealous of the Eagles, we kind of cringe at that. What if you changed it to we're jealous of the Eagles front office's aggressiveness? Whether the way that they apply their aggressiveness may not be exactly what you would want as a Cowboys fan, or maybe it is, but I don't think Spoonie's completely off base there, that a lot of times we see the Eagles make moves and we're like, see, the Cowboys need to do that. We need to do that. I don't know that if jealousy is the exact right word, but I get where you're going, Spoonie. I don't look at the team and say, like, I wish we were the Eagles. I wish I was an Eagles fan. It's not that type of jealousy. It's more so just like, hey, we used to do that. I remember when we used to be that team that was aggressive. We were that team that used to go all in. It hasn't gotten the results for the Eagles that they may ultimately want, but they have won a Super Bowl doing this. They have been aggressive and, been able to kind of keep themselves in the conversation. But I wouldn't say that I'm jealous of the Eagles. I would say that
envy. Are you
maybe?
envy?
Yeah, maybe envy might be a word. I don't know. Yeah,
we'll go with that.
But I do
tip
my cap and say you guys go after the players you want.
Same thing.
We should do the same thing.
But I don't think that's exclusive to the Eagles. We've talked about the Rams
Other
that
front
went all
offices.
in.
Ravens,
We've
Right.
talked about the
Rams,
Chiefs, who even when they got rid of
Who
players,
says the Eagles hurt him harder though?
they made. I'm just making, as a point. Like, let's say, somehow we do make it out the NFC and we represent the NFC in the Super Bowl.
Watch this.
Which-
Pause. Spoonie, how did the Eagles beat us though? Forget the turnovers.
Well, no, the run
2017.
game. The run game, yeah.
What did
We
the Cowboys
addressed
do with the trade? What did the Cowboys do with the trade deadline?
Yeah, no, BJ, I understand that, but BJ, here's the kicker, though. Let's be honest. I know
I am being honest.
a long time ago, when you wore a Cowboys jersey, I'm talking about in the '90s. And for some of y'all who wasn't born at that time, that was the best time of football. I swear to God, in my opinion. And let me tell you, when you wore a Cowboy jersey, I can't stand them Cowboy fans. They get everything they want, everything they push, they can get it. See, under Jerry Jones, we would sign somebody. It could be the wrong move, overpaid. He would have did it. The man has done it. Look it up and Google it. Some moves were too over aggressive. Some moves were like, damn, go ahead. Like I said, in 92,
but he still could do it. I mean,
Charles Haley available, troublemaker, a second-round pick and a third-round pick for you. Now, here's your picks. Give me Charles Haley. That's the kind of that was the kind of aggressive person in the front office we had a long time ago. What we had
to be
right
clear,
now,
we still could do it. Jerry could do it. He
Jerry,
deferred to Steven because he wants Steven to whatever he wants. Whether it's to
Steven
get him
Jones.
to the blame.
I agree with you. The Hankins move was a big move. Going
I
back
like
to
the
the
Hankins
original
move.
point.
Yes, that's
This is absolutely a timing-based reaction by Cowboys fans, and I totally understand because I was the same way yesterday. It's justified.
Exactly.
I get it, but you have to be realistic and say, had we made that move yesterday,
people wouldn't have been so mad. Yeah,
it's different because now we're like, hey, yeah, these other teams did that, but we knew that we need to improve our run defense. It's been an issue. We did that. You feel different. It's timing. And honestly, I think Eagles fans will probably tell you the same thing with Robert Quinn. They probably were looking at some of the moves yesterday saying, oh my gosh, they went after Bradley Chubb. They got Hawkinson. They probably did the same thing we did yesterday saying, well, yeah, Quinn's nice, but there were all these other guys available. It's timing based. If Hankins was traded yesterday, you feel different about it than you do the week before. And we got an extra game out of him than what you would have because we traded earlier. So I definitely agree with you, Knicks. It was a big move, a bigger move than people are giving credit to because there are bigger fish out there, bigger needs out there. Sexy, but it was absolutely a move we should have made. So
it's not sexy, but it's a championship style move. That's all I'm saying. It's not sexy, but you go back to the Niners game. Spoonie, we was in the building for the Niners game.
Yeah.
Didn't feel good, did it? Didn't feel good getting that ball right down our throat.
We went home. We were so pissed.
They did something. And here's the other side too. I got you go. Here's the other side too that I think is really big that's not being talked about enough. With Hankins back, you're getting Gallimore back at the 3 tech now, and not with this foolishness of 1 tech they've tried to use with him, and it hasn't worked well. We've seen Gallimore win at 3 tech. We've seen him be great at 3 tech. And now with Tristan Hill up out of here, that's part of the Hankins move, and Basham coming back as well. But now there's some of this Gallimore, hey, can you do this nose, this 1 tech? Can you do? He's officially a 3 tech now, and I think that matters a lot for the defensive front as well.
That impacts 2 positions too, because not only is he moving to 3 tech more, but that also means a guy like Chauncey Golston that you spent a top 100 pick on last year, who's had to eat 3 tech snaps because he's bulked up, can play more on the outside. And what is he known for? What was he compared to last year? Another tank. He's that model.
Yeah, he's that other side.
So now you have another guy that play opposite. That move has ripple effects that people aren't thinking of because you're thinking of immediately saying, well, yeah, he can rest Bo, and now you have some relief there at 1 tech and not playing guys out of position. But it also impacts your 3 tech and your defensive end. So it's a big move.
I love the move. I like it.
Yeah, it really is a big move.
I understand why people would be upset about it.
They didn't bring sexy back. It ain't Justin Timberlake. They didn't bring sexy back with it. I understand.
We got to be honest too, though. Let's be honest. Let's use Spoonie's quote right there. Let's be honest. Had Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones not alluded to, we are still being aggressive. We're still trying to make a trade. There was some hype to it, and to their credit, I think they did try. I think they genuinely did try to make a trade work with the Texans, but the Texans weren't willing to eat the cap. And as you saw from the other 30 teams in the league, they didn't make a move for him either. because that cap is really hard to absorb. Nobody wants to take that $18 million guaranteed salary next year, or somebody else would have made that trade. The Packers would have made that trade. The Vikings would have made that trade. They were still in on him even after Hawkinson. It was a borderline immovable contract with the way that it was currently constructed. So it wasn't just the Cowboys that were resistant to that. But the whole point is, I think had the Jones front office said, you know, we feel good about our team right now. We made a move to improve our team. We already traded for Hankins. And then quietly work behind the scenes and things don't work out. We'd be, I don't know that you'd say excited, but you'd feel a little bit better saying, hey, even after the Hankins move, they still went after Cooks. But instead of building it up like, oh, we're still in on it. Anything can happen. It'll get feverish and all that stuff. Now we feel like it was a letdown instead of feeling like, oh, we got Hankins and still tried to do something. But the way that the front office kind of hyped it up, it's, you know, it's natural to hear that and think we're going to make a move. They're going all in. Jerry saying it, Steven saying it, and then nothing happens. We feel let down. It's just kind of a you know, the weird dynamic in the way things are done in Dallas, maybe compared to other teams.
And I think some of the thing there with Jerry was it was putting up the flag of, oh, we're so active for teams maybe to call them, because they rather have teams call them than them call teams.
Yeah, and they said that too, right? They said we have stuff coming into us, and they did try. I don't know what they or offer for Tristan, but they tried to trade him too. So
right, and look, and at the end of the day, and it goes down to why Cooks was traded, not just to us, to anybody. We know now the Texans refused to eat any of the $18 million in that second year of the contract, and that's why. Which is going to be very funny if they end up cutting him. It's going to be very funny if they end up cutting him.
I mean, and we're too low on the waiver wire, right? We're too low on the waiver wire to even.
We are, but here's the interesting thing about the waiver wire, because you had to pick up his contract. Now, maybe you don't want to give up a second or third for that contract, but
you might be willing to pick it up.
If I don't have to spend a draft pick, maybe I will. So I wouldn't rule, if they actually do release him, I wouldn't rule the Cowboys out here. But then I got to start looking at teams in front of them, a la the Packers, right? Look, they didn't want to trade. The Giants is another team as well. There's and which is funny because their loss and our win now on the waiver wire position puts them right in front of us. As compared to they would have won, we would have won. We've been right ahead of them. So the Cooks, you know, could happen. It gets released. We'll see what it is. But that's neither here nor there. So again,
the key phrase for that real quick on Cooks is offset language. I highly doubt they actually will let him force their hand, because they absorb such an astronomical dead cap hit this year and next year since it's post June 1st. However, there is offset language. So what that means for people that don't know is if another team were to pick him up, they would not be on the hook for all of that dead money. And the Cowboys also would not be responsible for all of that money they'd be taking on. So it kind of gives both teams a little bit of relief. But at the same time, they would be better off, they being the Texans, just making him inactive week after week and moving on next offseason versus cutting him now. Even if he's a complete distraction, just say, cool, don't come to the clubhouse. We'll just fine you. And you're inactive every week. They'd be better off doing that. But it is possible that they just say, enough's enough. The PR hit's too big. We're just going to cut him. I just think that's highly unlikely. But we'll see. I mean, we've seen it happen in the past. The other issue, too, is they can't do what Odell Beckham did with the Browns, where Odell Beckham reduced his contract so that it was easier for them to cut him. Because
that's what I was going to ask about.
They had to do that on Monday. The deadline for that's passed. They can't make that move anymore. So if they cut him now, they're totally waiting on a team to sign him in waivers, because if nobody puts a claim on him, the Cowboys or any team could sign him for cheap. But the Texans are now fully responsible for all that money, which is why I don't think they'll risk it.
Thanks for that. I was literally just going to ask, couldn't he
don't want to be a bummer, but I just want to be honest.
I was going to ask, couldn't he just take less? But you answered that for me. So that works. Okay.
Yeah, he could have Monday. He could have said, heading into the trade deadline, let me renegotiate now. To help him be moved.
Yeah,
why not he didn't do it, and they didn't do it. So
for what he said, though, do you feel like, for me, it felt like it's more politics, where
he has no leverage? This is the biggest issue. Though. Literally, all he can do is talk. They have all the cap responsibility.
I get that, but what's been transpiring in Houston for the last couple of years with Hopkins, Deshaun Watson, and for what he tweeted, the words he said, that means it's like saying, I know something that you don't want everybody else to know about. That's the way I took out of his tweet. And I think the politic part could play a role.
He said, I know where the dead bodies are buried.
Exactly, BJ. And that's what I took. I was like, ooh, wait a minute now. That's kind of serious right there. And Houston's been in a hot water for a lot of different things they've been involved with as far as the owner. And then on top of that, we're hearing Jeremy Tunsil now. They're saying it's a joke, but texting the Dolphins GM saying, please come get me back over here. I mean, listen, I say this. I don't know how many players have a relationship with a former GM on a different team to do that, but that's kind of crazy how come rescue me, get me out this place. So I'm going to take that tweet and say, if he does get released, and Professor O, I know exactly what you're saying. Mathematically, they don't want to do that. But if he does get released, I'm assuming it's because of what he said.
Well, just to throw it out there so you guys know, I know we're about to move on, but real quick, if they were to cut him right now, they would eat $27 million of dead cap this year. $16 million of dead cap next year, and they would lose $17 million in cap space now. That's just so much money. Like they would basically need a confirmation from some team out there saying, we absolutely will take him and do the offset language. But that's such a risk for them that some team could be like, yeah, cut him. We'll definitely put a waiver claim. Like if that was your cap to deal with and you were the GM, right. I just can't see how any GM would pull the trigger. You'd be better off, like I said, just waiting it out and next offseason making a move.
Which again makes zero sense as to why there's a deal in place for the Cowboys, but they refuse to touch any of the $18 million in the second year.
Right? Yeah,
that doesn't make
mind-boggling from their organization to do it that way. But outside of that, and we'll put a bow here on the trade deadline. I think the Cowboys did better than a lot of people want to really get to. I understand the frustration. I definitely get it. And we'll see what happens moving forward with maybe some free agent wide receivers. We'll wait. But that's where I'm at, guys. I get it. It sucks because you look at the lay of the land of the NFC currently, and there was an opportunity here to push the chips in. But as I just caution Cowboys Nation, look around. Would you give up the second for Claypool and maybe them some, as we talked about earlier, who was really available? Because all these guys that were talked about being available, the Jets wide receivers and all that, none of them got moved. Jerry Jeudy's of the world, none of them got moved. So it's not like the Cowboys just didn't get – there wasn't like 8 wide receivers got moved out here and the Cowboys got none of them. Realistically, it boiled down to they tried for Cooks, couldn't get the job done. Are you giving up the second for Claypool? Outside of that, you wasn't getting Tony. There wasn't going. The Giants were never going to trade us Tony. So never. I mean, you're and Calvin really trade whatever. Get out of here. That doesn't help us. Period. That's a weird deal. We'll see what happens there. The Cowboys, I think, for most part, and I look far be it for me to give this front office a lot of credit, but I think they have aspirated as much as they could.
Well, another angle to that too is we didn't make the move now. It doesn't mean they can't make it next offseason. And Knicks, are draft picks more valuable in November or heading into the draft?
Heading into the draft, sir.
So when you're offering now, it's easy to say we'll give you a 2 and 5 or 2 and 4 or whatever, because we don't know where we would pick.
Right.
You do know where we'll pick then, and everybody's eyeing players in the draft. Everybody's making moves. You see trades made, like, again, Marquise Goodwin, great example. I don't think there's any chance he would have gotten a first and a fourth or whatever it was had he been traded before the trade deadline last year. He may have still gotten draft picks for them, but he got more because draft picks are more important heading into the draft. Teams have bigger needs and have players that they like and want to develop and build around. Right. So just because we didn't make the move for Jerry Jeudy, for instance, now, or Brandon Cooks now, doesn't mean that they may not revisit that in March or April and swing that deal.
Big facts, but boy, that doesn't help us the rest of the way. And that's what Cowboys Nation's mad about.
But Hankins does. Hankins does.
He does.
Hankins does. Definitely.
All right.
And again, like I said, and you were saying too, Nick, I think that Hankins deal matters more than people think because of that multi-positional upgrade that you're getting.
I love that deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Spoonie, go ahead, sir. Well, unmute yourself. He's so upset about it.
I'm sorry. I love the Hankins move. Listen, to get me in, I love the Hankins move, but I want the cherry on the top. And there is the cherry's out there. We know who he is. I'm not going to say his name. He's out there.
Pause.
Pick him up and put him on our
Pause.
spot.
Uh-oh. He's getting ahead of himself. He's getting ahead of himself. Spoonie, I'm about to lash you up.
Yes, ma'am.
Get back. Hold on. We'll get there. All right, guys. That's a cap on the trade deadlines. We're moving forward here. Y'all want to give us some midseason awards?
I do.
We did this. We did this after the quarter. We did this for those that missed out after the the first quarter of the season, 4 games. We gave out some awards. We said, you know what? It's the bye week. We're technically 8 games in. We're technically halfway through this thing. Let's go ahead and let's see where we change where we're at, and let's get into our mid-season awards here for the Dallas Cowboys. Okay. I know we all roundtabled. MVP was Micah Parsons. Has anybody changed off of Micah Parsons as the MVP?
No.
No, everybody. Okay,
my man's out there scoring touchdowns now. It's a different. He just got a
touchdown.
I mean, we've literally been hoping every
you.
week that and the don't even get me started because
Mary just had an out of body experience. Hold up.
No, because I'm watching or whatever, and I was drunk. Surprise, surprise, and
Who knew?
And I see it happen. I'm like, but at first it looked like he was down because the Chicago player was like right there. And then I realized he wasn't, and like he jumped back up and he just was dipping in and out and ran all the way back. That was like 90-something yards.
It was crazy. Yeah, because he was rushing the quarterback somewhere around the 10,
he was like way
all the
over
way
here.
down like 35 yards to recover the fumble, to pick it up and go the full like 40 yards
and
back.
For him to like have that awareness, like I wasn't touched, I'm getting back up. You know what I'm saying? It was just crazy. It's when you really think about everything he did on that full drive, that whole play, it was amazing.
Hey, and Robert, the funny thing about that is we actually talked about this last season about him, that because he played running back in high school, and we was campaigning on the channel last year of, hey, when you get on the goal line, we got to give Micah Parsons the ball one time. We got to do it. So, we're right there with you on that. And I'm not going to lie. Yeah, Zeke said on the sideline, but I'm talking about this last year. Yeah. But, here's the thing. When he got up and took off, I was like, oh, my God, it's happening. Oh my God, it's happening, man! I lost my mind. I was like, yes, he finally got in the end zone. I was super. It's just a play. He was held first of all on that play. He was held and double teamed.
Yes,
held and double teamed.
Yeah,
ran down there, and the great thing was Curse was like, now I was trying to get to the ball, but you were so damn fast to get there. But Curse was right out there, like you should have been able to get to it. And then shout out to Fields, man. I appreciate the amount of ups and hops that you have, sir, to completely jump over and clear Micah and allow things to happen. One of the things I always talk about this as we're talking about our mid-season awards here, quarter was MVP, was Micah. That hasn't changed now for us here. Simply this, when your best player plays with that effort, it makes your guys that are not as good as him have to play harder and at that temperament. And that's just an amazing thing that is infectious throughout this defense. We talked about it a ton, in the spaces, late night, and going through things and the one thing we pounded the table about, and I talked about tremendously on the spaces, was I understand like Micah can be better than last year. It's his first year, last year, and he didn't play college his final year. He's going to be better this year. Theoretically, he's going to be better in year 2. I said, I know it's weird. Even for me, I'm like, man, it's crazy how good he was, but he should be better. And we just seen it. Man, we just seen it. So, Micah, anything else about our MVP? Micah, y'all want to talk about before we pivot over to our Offensive Player of the Year? Anybody? No?
The only comment I would throw in with Micah that hasn't been said, I'm just going to say it. So, people say this all the time about quarterbacks, right? Elevating the guys around them. You hear that about so many quarterbacks. We hear it about Dak, Aaron Rodgers right now. Like some of the guys that have, lacking weapons, Tom Brady, for instance. And you're seeing a difference on what them having lesser quality players around them does to them as a quarterback. You also do have players that are catalysts for everybody else on the team. Micah is the type of guy, his energy on defense is contagious for the offense. His energy on defense is contagious for the defense. Like you said, when you said everybody else plays harder, he absolutely is one of the small, very, very small handfuls of players where everybody is energized off of him, not just one side of the ball. That's what I think is so special about him. because you can have a quarterback that makes your offense better. You can have a lineman who helps the rest of the linemen better, or a linebacker who helps the front seven, or even the defense in general. But it's very hard to find a guy that makes everybody better. And Mike is that guy. Like, that's why when you hear people say and compare him to like LT and people say it's too early, it's the impact. Like, his impact literally is that important to the team where he elevates the entire roster, not just the defense, which is crazy.
He moves the
Crazy
needle.
to say that.
Especially special stuff. He moves the needle.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right, let's go to our Offensive Player of the Year halfway through. Who's your Offensive Player of the Year, Mary?
Honestly, I'm mad at the offense for the most part. I guess I'm gonna give it to.
We just scored 42 points, Mary.
I know. I mean, well, I'm happy about that, obviously, but I don't feel like, Dak's been out, and overall it hasn't been the same. I have to give it to somebody on the O line, I think.
Okay,
I would say, I'll give it to Tyler Smith as a rookie, mostly because we were all worried. Okay.
True.
Like,
True.
not that we didn't. First off, a lot of us didn't like the pick. We were in Vegas when it happened. But on top of that, he practiced at guard all off season. He didn't know he was moving to left tackle until a week or two before the first game, and he's held his own. He's been. Obviously, I know people want him to be back at left guard, which is understandable. But overall, like, he has been what we needed at that position, not having Tyron or not having a guy like.
That's fair.
Like,
Mary, we won 6 games and primarily with a backup without Tyron Smith being here.
That's what I'm saying.
You just haven't
that's
seen
insane.
that in all these parts in a long time.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Valid.
and I was very, so, I got to give him his props.
10-4. Spoonie, who's your OPY thus far?
I'm going to
at
give
that
it to
midway point?
CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb. He
Quietly, isn't he top 10 receiving yards?
Number 9.
He is.
Yeah, number 9, right? Yeah,
Number
he is.
9.
Quietly top
number
10
9.
receiving yards.
And for him to come in there, it's not easy when you don't have your not to try to say respectfully, the other half is not as good compared to the one you used to playing with, like Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup. It can make your job a little bit more harder, especially where
you don't backup even.
And you have your backup. Yeah.
And and on top of it was questionable on the offensive line as well. So all that played a role, but he hung in there, he stood in there. Again, my favorite part of the season so far with CeeDee Lamb was against the New York Giants. I was there live where he missed a good drop. They talked to him. He says, "You know what? It is what it is." Went back out there and he finished the game. And we see that continuously every week after week. He's growing before our very own eyes. So he's my offensive player of the year.
Okay.
So far.
Oh, who's your guy?
So it's funny on my notepad, pulling a shout out to our guy Aaron.
Yeah. Get the legal
notepad
pad out. Get that legal pad out.
I had 2 different guys written down, and I crossed them both out because I had a moment of self-reflection, and I thought I have to go with my quarter of the season guy still in Cooper Rush, because I don't think he played at a high level, but I think he did enough to help us be in the position we were when Dak came back. And that was ultimately what our season came down to, because had we went 2-3 or 2-4 or whatever without Dak, it's a completely different vibe in the organization. It's a completely different. We may not make the Hankins move. We may be sellers or not buyers. Like, everything potentially changes had we not been in the position we were when Dak returned. So to me, especially because Dak hasn't been there, I think Tyler Smith has done an admirable job at left tackle. I think that CeeDee Lamb's been great, but I think without Cooper Rush, and I'm not a big Cooper Rush fan, having somebody who is able to do enough to help you win at backup quarterback was what we needed. So I'm gonna give it to him, even though I'm not the biggest fan of him.
It's fair.
Ooh,
that's fair.
Interesting.
I mean, yeah. Look, I mean, he got the job done, right?
Yeah.
4-1, 4-1. So yeah, no, I respect that, man. I think look, and not to be just recency bias here. I think this offense turned around whenever Mike McCarthy said, "Hey, you got to have 10 plays for Pollard." I just think that's what it is. And once after week 1 and he wasn't used, and said, "Hey, you got to go ahead and give Pollard look." And what he said, Mike McCarthy, I had 10 plays that just said Jerry Rice. I had to get him in there. And we've seen that from Pollard. We've seen him not just this week, but when he gets outside of the Washington game, he makes explosive plays and helps this offense. So, I was Noah Brown at the quarter point because I thought that mattered tremendously with Gallup being out. Since then, he's kind of faded, and we've seen Pollard extended. So I'm going with Pollard at the midway mark here as the offensive player of the year so far.
I like that answer, but I just hate that it even had to be said. I hate that Kellen had to be told this. We need to get this guy that's been on the team for 4 years.
Shout out McCarthy finally doing it, but I'm with you.
Like it's insane. Like you have these weapons. You see what they do in practice. Like it's crazy that it had to be said. You need to do this and get this guy the ball more. Like it's crazy.
Hey, and as we talked about last week on the show, and and he came out with the "you call it, I'll haul it," and if y'all haven't seen the sounds on the sideline, he's no longer Pollard. He's no longer Tony Pollard. He's Tony Hollard. He's Hollard. He'll haul it, okay? Tony Hollard, if you will. We'll pivot over here to defensive player of the year. I'm going to go the other side. Oh, who is your defensive player of the year thus far?
So my DPY right now is the same as I had quarter. I did change some other players, so there are some wrinkles.
Okay.
But I'm sticking with Diggs because Diggs has been outside of Micah, which you could obviously put there. But we already gave Micah MVP, so I'm giving somebody else this award. I'm going with Trayvon Diggs. He's still one of the, which is funny because now PFF's all about Diggs. They love Diggs now. I can't talk enough about how great he is in coverage and all these stats. And then you see his grade and they give him like a 77 in coverage or whatever. But whatever. we know what his value is. He's still getting interceptions, even if they're coming back with penalties. He's still locking down number ones. He's still making plays twice this year so far to clinch a win in important games for us. So Diggs is still that dude on defense. I gave Micah MVP. I'm going to give it to somebody else. I'm going with Diggs.
That part. Spoonie, who you rolling with?
I'm the same. I'm going with Trayvon Diggs. Listen, it's a 70-11, and number 7 has been a great addition since he got drafted here. His game has changed. He's becoming more elite by the minute. I mean, my God, it's anytime you throw that ball around that area, you're looking for Diggs. And listen, Professor O said the rest. I can't.
That's it.
Yeah.
Mary, you on the Diggs train?
Yeah, I can't remember what I said halfway through, the first 8 games, but I'm pretty sure I said Diggs as well. Talked about how, doing the 11 interceptions, that's hard to repeat, but he improved in other areas, and 1,000%, I think he definitely deserves it.
Man, look, and I'll be honest, he got robbed of his 4th interception this week with that terrible roughing the passer call. I had Diggs at the quarter mark. I am going to switch it right now. I'm going to go with Donovan Wilson. I'm going with Dono. Whenever Kurtz got hurt, Green Dot's gone. You're a little concerned. Things are happening.
Yeah.
And boy, Dono walked through the door. And look, not only did he walk through the door and play didn't drop, he's played so much where they're like, okay, we can't just, now that Kurtz is back, put you off the field. Like, we got to find a way to get these 3 going into even a big dime at times, if you will, with some of these guys. So, again, Diggs 10 toes down. Now, I was on Diggs at quarter 4. But through this stretch, I'm going to switch it up here a little bit. I'm going to tip the old cap to Donovan Wilson and what he did. So, I'm going to go defensive player Donovan Wilson for me.
I mean, it's crazy to think, again, this is the Cowboys talking about safeties. We lost Kurtz.
That's insane.
We lost Kurtz.
It was okay.
Didn't feel it. We lost Malik Hooker last week. He didn't feel it. That's crazy. Two different safeties that were valuable to us. First off, we barely ever have 2 good safeties. We have 2 different safeties, 2 different positions. One a strong safety box guy.
Bell can't get on the field. One that wanted to get drafted, and we got him. We sold him from Philly and the undrafted guys. And Bell can't even get on the field.
He's a great answer.
Yeah.
He really is. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Rookie of the year. I'm gonna go. You gave offensive player so far to a rookie. Are you going to stick with that for your rookie as well? Or are you switching it up here, Mary?
I mean, I think I have to keep it. I think I have to keep it right there.
Fair.
Yeah.
Then it
For
was
obvious
Smith.
reasons.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Spoonie, you're smiling.
You know, I already know one of y'all's gonna pick this guy, so I'm not gonna pick him.
No. Go with your heart. You go with your heart.
Stay with your
You
chest,
go with your
man.
heart. So
Let it out.
Stay with your chest.
No, I do want to pick Sam. He deserves it.
Let's go.
He's been amazing.
No, I can't.
He's been amazing.
I gotta give it to the Bash brothers. I gotta give it to the Bash brothers. I gotta give it to Andy
You need a
Scott.
combo breaker.
I gotta give it a full MVP with those two tight ends. Listen, those two tight ends.
I'm back.
Clap on. That was perfect timing, by the way.
Listen, I gotta give it to Hendershot and Ferguson, man. Listen, those are unbelievable rookie tight ends. Listen, Sam. Listen, he deserves it. But I'm gonna give it to the tight ends.
I like Sam.
These guys stepped up when Schultz went down, and Schultz is the big
shot
for this offensive team. And it's like somebody said earlier. The way they play, you would think they've been on this roster for a long time. You would think they're veterans. So I'm gonna give it to those co-MVPs.
And Spoonie, to your backdoor point, and one thing we talked about tremendously a lot is when you're running the ball, it's about the exterior guys. It's not just your offensive line; it's the exterior guys.
Right.
And what these young rookies are doing, not just in the pass game, man, they are blocking their ass off.
Yeah,
look, I knew I knew Ferguson could. I didn't know Hendershot could do.
Right.
Yeah.
And Hendershot, some penalties early. He's walked through the door.
Right.
And he's blocking his ass off too. And the crazy thing about it, when you listen to him talk and you get behind the scenes stuff, man, they are like they're just so happy to be here. They're like, I don't care. What do you want me to do? I'm ready. And look, it's not lost on me. Who scored a touchdown this week?
Ferguson,
Who was it?
right?
Hey, what was that? Hey, real quick, what was his celebration?
Hog tie.
It was that thing where
Hog tie.
he
Who did he hog tie?
Dalton Schultz.
Ooh.
Little forecasting there.
What?
I'm sorry, Dalton. You got hog tied.
Before when Peyton Hendershot scored, it was Ferguson who wanted to do the hog tie celebration. So they brought it back the next week. But it was interesting to your point that it wasn't Hendershot, that it was Schultz that he hog tied. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, no, fun times though. Just little foreshadowing.
And when Nick says it's important for the exterior guys to block in the run game, when you watch San Francisco 49ers, a team that we saw as run game, watch Brandon Ayuk block. Watch Deebo Samuel block. Like these guys are taking the cornerback completely out of the play.
Right.
And then getting a safety. Or then chipping the linebacker. Like
they're second level,
that
third
stuff
level.
matters. Yeah, it does.
Big facts. Oh, you're rookie of the year so far.
So I have to make a quick choice because I thought we were doing offense and defensive. So if we're doing just one. Spoonie, I love your answer. I definitely want to go that route with you, but I have to go with Tyler. I mean, think about it. Like, we lost Tyron Smith. We know what the Cowboys have looked like when Tyron's not at left tackle. Tyler Smith started out really good, and we were like, this guy's phenomenal. I think he's kind of, I don't want to say hit the wall, but things have gotten a little bit tougher for him as the season went on. But he's still been more than serviceable. So if this is his floor, you've got to think about what his future looks like. That's exciting. And then thinking about when Tyron comes back, maybe him moving to left guard. But Tyler Smith, for me, is the offensive rookie of the year. And overall rookie of the year because of what he's done.
Yeah. Absolutely the tight end answer. And I have pounded the table about Sam Williams tremendously, and I think he is going to ascend. But there's just no way. It's Tyler. I mean, we've seen this team without Tyron Smith and how it goes down a very dark path, if you will, and what he's been able to do in general and what's happened. Yeah, right now you just have to give it to him and move in that realm for sure. Now, and for the last one, under the radar or most improved, I think those are kind of similar. So, how do you want to coin it? Most improved or under the radar for y'all? We'll do it that realm. Who's your guy here?
So there's two guys to me that are the easy answer. I'm gonna leave some meat on the bone and let you guys answer with one. Actually, there's really three guys that I think you could go with. I gotta go with Donovan Wilson because I didn't know he could play at a sustained level. Like we saw him do this 2 years ago when he was healthy for a short spurt. I didn't know that he could do what he's doing. Like I thought he was going to be more of a in the box type of guy. I didn't realize how versatile he is. So to me, it's Donovan Wilson. But I'm interested to see who you guys go with because there's at least 2 or 3 other names that would be great choices.
Sure.
Here.
Spoonie?
For me, it's Tyler Biadasz, the center.
That was
yeah, solid year so far. Listen, the one thing that's important is on the offensive line is the communication between the center and the quarterback, and he's done a great job for filling in, especially when Dak went down. We had Cooper Rush, a backup quarterback. Great job. So that's Tyler Biadasz.
Mary?
I had a few in my head too. I think at 4 games I said Dorrance Armstrong.
Okay. Still there?
I still think he's under the radar. But a few others on my mind. I was thinking of Maher, who is somebody we all vilified when he got signed.
Leave some meat on the bone. Pick one, Mary. We'll come back to it.
Well, I like all 8 of these guys. Good luck.
I know it's so hard. Okay,
Hey,
I'm gonna go with Maher. I'm gonna go with Maher because that was a huge deal for us last season, and he has been a saving grace. You know, he scored a lot of our points, honestly, especially while Dak was out. So
yeah. Again, there's a lot of great guys. Great answers. All 3 of y'all. I could easily go with them and Mary pulling at my heartstrings because y'all know me. # special teams matter. They do matter. But I'm gonna go with but I'm gonna stay on special teams though. I'm gonna stay on special teams. The under the radar, underappreciated guy a little bit. I'm going with Turpin. Go look at what he averages against the league in punt return yards and that hidden yardage in field position. That matters tremendously when you have a backup playing, and it matters so much to get these wins and set things up. And he was big. I know we lost the Philly game, but a big return to kind of get things moving and stuff. And I think in general, like even just the 10-yard returns, like you say, oh, it's just a 10-yard return, Knicks. We wasn't getting those last year.
Yeah, I mean,
like be clear, we just wasn't getting 10-yard punt returns last year. And just in general, it matters so much for this team to set up this yardage and what's going on. So I got us under the radar. I would love to give him some more offensive snaps. I've been out here with it, but I'm a Turpin guy. You know, I think everybody gave a great answer. I'm going to stay with the special teams. I'm going to go with Turpin in some of this field position that's been happening this far.
I mean, the dude's top 5 in punt return yards.
Yeah.
And kick return yards.
Yeah.
Let's go.
That's crazy.
Go. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It matters. Special teams matters, ladies and gentlemen.
Been saying it for a while, man.
We're going to keep on that.
Go ahead and tell us the other 15 players you had in mind.
Yeah. Who's the other 15 you got real quick? Go right ahead.
We don't have time for that, guys.
Okay. Yeah, Mayor's in the back channel. I'm here, but I gotta go. Okay, so let's see. We covered our awards. We covered the trade deadline. I know we got the Packers coming. We got the Spoonie sermon. Real quick, we're sitting at 6-2. Y'all seen the rest of the schedule. We had our preseason predictions of what we thought the team could be. Look, I said 10-7. That's where I was. I said 10-7. I just don't know how to see things come together, offensive line and whatnot. Last year was 11-5. I was pretty close to 10-7. I don't think 10-7 is attainable no more. I think it's higher personally. I'll pivot around the block, Mary. You've looked at it. What 6-2 now? Where do the Cowboys land here for the rest of the way?
Yeah, honestly, when I was looking earlier at the rest of our schedule, we are very capable of beating all the rest of these teams. And that's not even just me being a homer. It's just looking at...
She said no cap.
Looking at these quarterbacks, looking at what's going on with these teams. I mean, I think we could very easily end with only 3 losses.
Okay. 14-3 is where you're at?
I think that's 1,000% possible.
Only one loss left on the schedule for Mary. Spoonie, rest of the
Say-
way, where we at? 14-3 for you. 14-3 for you. Hold on, pause. Super pause. You done lost your damn mind. I'm gonna tell you
It'll
right
grow
now.
back, Knicks. Do it for the Super Bowl.
Do it for the culture.
You say you want
The culture.
Y'all done lost y'all's damn mind. Somebody put some on collection plate. I might. We ain't got one damn super chat tonight. They want me to shave my damn beard off. He should have made that a super chat. I might have considered it. That man said shave my beard. I'll think about it. How about that? All right. The Spoonie 14-3, one loss the rest of the way.
14-3.
All right,
So
Where you
I
at?
said 12-5 again. That was my preseason prediction. I looked at the schedule. We know the strength of schedule. Preseason wasn't high. I can't find 3 more losses on the schedule. Like, I'm trying.
That's
I'm
what I'm
trying
saying,
to look
like-
at it objectively and saying, even if I concede certain games, like, I'm going to go with 13-4, so I'm not bumping it up drastically. But looking at the remaining schedule, some of the teams I was worried about or circling as a potential loss previously, like the Packers, for instance, we'll talk about that next week. But they look like a completely different team now than what we thought they were preseason. And then I'm looking at some of the other teams on the schedule, and I'm like, yeah, so I'm going with 13-4.
Yeah. I said 10-7. I just wasn't sure about certain things with this offensive line and in general with this offense. But I'm up. I'm 13-4. This is where I'm at. I'm 13-4 now. Exactly what you said. I look at the rest of the schedule. I'm like, I can't. I just don't see more than 2 losses the rest of the way. I try to talk myself into. I'm like,
That's what I'm saying. I'm looking. I'm like,
yeah, I'm like, maybe this one. And look, and again, this is about the team staying relatively healthy. Obviously, within the construct here, what we're talking about is a team staying relatively healthy. Yeah, I just think if this team stays relatively healthy, they're going to be 1 win better than last year, which would seem very unattainable.
Yeah.
Obviously, before the season even kicked off. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's where I'm at now currently. And the greatest thing here, and we'll talk about it more next week. The Cowboys have an opportunity, let's be clear, to completely close the casket on the Packers. They're 3-5 now. The Cowboys go up there and beat them and make them 3-6. And y'all know Mike McCarthy wants this bad boy, right?
Mm-hmm. He gonna love the clip.
Oh,
Dak wants it too, to be honest. I mean, Dak
load it up.
Yeah.
Load it up.
Tough losses with him, so.
And again, if the Cowboys go get that dub, which I think they are, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Yeah. Packers are done. You get to put them up out the way and move on about your business. I'm excited for that. But neither here nor there. We'll chill on that. I'm talking extra greasy next week. I'm telling y'all now. I'm talking extra greasy because I think my guy Mike's about to get in the bag. Load the clip, as Mary said. Okay, so 2 14s and 2 13s. You know what that means? We're all winning our bet against J-Tuck. That's all that matters now. Straight plug.
I finally get a win.
Yeah.
Yes,
Finally get a win.
Get a win. But now we got Facebook user. I don't know what that means. Why we can't see what the name is. But hey, Spoonie's 40s burger. Okay, whatever. I don't care what that is. All right, let's move around. Let's move around. Spoonie,
Yes,
it is sermon time. It is
Yeah.
sermon time.
Mhm.
However, Spoon, I think there's a special guest tonight, if I'm not mistaken. I think.
Yeah. But before I bring him on,
Okay.
I want to make sure that Jerry understands something with me first.
Okay.
Jerry, when you traded a second and third round pick for Charles Haley, even though we had a top team and a top defense, what happened, Jerry? Jerry, in 1998, you called Randy Moss the day before the NFL draft. You said, "I'm taking you." You had Deion Sanders take him out, hang out. You will become a Cowboy because you listened when you listen to your other colleagues, people under you, the coaching staff, they said don't take Randy Moss. What happened, Jerry? It's a nightmare for years, right? Every time Randy Moss stepped into the star, what happened?
We're gonna be like.
When you wanted Deion Sanders, you went to his hotel. You said, Deion, you will be a Cowboy, even though your son said, don't do it. Jerry, when we got Deion Sanders, what happened? The trade deadline passed, Jerry. Okay, but there's a certain player out there, because you was trying to look at a receiver. You didn't get one yesterday, but there's still a player out there that you say you adore. But you know what? Maybe it's best to hear what he has to say from his mouth to your ears.
Oh,
give me 1 minute.
Oh, Spoonie. Oh, wait.
He's going dark.
Hold on, Spoonie's going. Oh, wait, hold on.
Oh, all
hold
right.
up. Hold on. Oh, okay.
I'm getting some WCW or WWF vibes. Remember when everything would go black, and then suddenly there'd be a Sting or somebody in the middle of the ring? That's what I'm picking up right now. So.
Maybe so. Okay, Spoonie. We're about to find out. Like he had a little bit of a message. He cut a little bit of a promo, and then he went.
Oh.
Let's go. Let's go.
Spoonie, I got this. What's going on, Jerry? This is OBJ. Last time you saw OBJ, Jerry, is when I had that one-handed catch at the Meadowlands. We lost the game, but you saw the player that I was. Last season, when I got released, I went on a tour. I went on a tour to see what team is out there that's great for OBJ. I said I chose the Rams. They signed me. We went on to the championship. I was part of the reasons why they got a Super Bowl, Jerry. Now, Jerry, you said the other day you adore me. I adore you too. But when people adore each other, Jerry, there's actions behind that. There's love. There's shown. Jerry, if you love OBJ the way he loves you, you come and sign me.
Ooh.
I'm not hard to be found. I already told Michael Irvin I would love to be a Cowboy. My family would love for me to be a Cowboy. But Jerry, here's the question. Do you want me to become a Cowboy, Jerry? Huh? Do you want OBJ to wear that star lined up next to CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup? Do you want to see OBJ catching touchdowns from Dak Prescott? Do you want to see OBJ block for Ezekiel Elliott or Tony Pollard? Do you want to see OBJ celebrate with you, your family, the Cowboys fan base, holding up a Lombardi trophy, Jerry? Do you want to see that, Jerry? If you want to see that, you sign OBJ. That is your team, Jerry. That is your team. I'm not going to sit and wait until you pick up the phone, Jerry. I'll be out there waiting and seeing who wants OBJ. But I'm letting you know, Jerry, you are number one on the list, Jerry. Understand that, Jerry. You are number one on the list. Put me in Dallas. You need me. I need you. You want me. I want you, Jerry. The fan base want me. I want them. I want Pick Six. Pick Six wants me. Jerry, this is OBJ. I'm getting it.
Let's go. Let's go. I'm sold.
You convinced me, Spoonie.
Hey, look, we got a bye week. Bring him in now. Let's get it done. And on a serious note, if the Cowboys are interested, though, if they are interested in Odell, right? You bring him in now. You bring him in now. Let the doctors look at him. Get ahead of the curve here. Be proactive, not reactive. The Cowboys are very reactive. We understand that. You be proactive now. Bring him in. Affiliate him with the concert at the Star. Let the team see him, and let the doctors get in that thing and move around, man. I'm just where I will be at. Oh, what about you?
No, I agree. I think if you waited out until he's fully healthy, everybody's going to be in on him at that point. I think now is the time you say, hey, come check out our organization. Hey, come check out the star. Hey, come eat dinner with Dak. He's a free agent. There's no tampering. You can do whatever you want now. You can have him come every week. You can say, like they do in college football with the 5-star recruits and give them tickets to games. Say, hey, come sit right here in the 50-yard line, or come out, hang out with Jerry Jones in the box and watch the Cowboys play. Like you can do.
Come hang out with Dez in the box. Like
you can do that right now.
Yeah,
you can do that right now. So I would absolutely do that, and I'd tell him, hey man, I know that your number's taken. Anthony Brown's not going to give it up right now. How about I give you number 8? It's unofficially retired. I'll give you number 8 to play here because we give out number 28. We let Tyson Thompson wear number 28. He's a kick returner. We let Malik Hooker, great player, wear number 28. We let 33, Tony Dorsett's number, be worn by Nate Jones. We let it be worn by Damone Clark, who looks good, but he's a rookie. Like, we give out 88 to every good receiver, so why am I unretiring or unofficially retiring a number? I'll say, Odell, I want you to play here. I'll give you number 8. That's how much I want you to play.
Ooh.
Love that.
Sheesh.
Hold on, man.
Ooh, he went all in.
Hold on, man. Hold on. Pause. Hold on.
No pause. Give him the numbers. Just a jersey. Who cares?
I mean, I don't believe in retiring jerseys, honestly.
Whoa.
It's not retired though. Like it's one thing.
I know,
if it was
but that's what
retired
I'm
to
saying.
unretired. It's not even retired. So
Yeah,
keep that
no,
jersey
like
out.
none of the jerseys, like. So it's like I think people make a big deal out of it for no reason.
Let me get some of this
honestly.
White Claw. Hang on.
If a jersey's not really retired, I think people make a big deal about other players wearing it. I just don't think it.
Only the.
I don't even think Troy would care either. I
Pause.
think he'd be like, cool, okay.
Pause. He only gets the 8 if he signs a 3-year deal.
Yeah.
not a
And
rental
maybe
for
he
the rest of
won't
the
even
year.
want. I
Hold
mean,
on,
maybe
Nick.
he won't
Hold
even
on,
want-
Mr. Knicks. I need Hoodie. I want to talk to Hoodie Knicks right now because I feel like Hoodie Knicks will be on board with me because hear me out. We're talking about not
Mary
going
doesn't know
all
about
in because
Hoodie
you don't
Knicks.
want to trade a 2nd-round pick for Chase Claypool, but you won't give number 8 to
I
Odell
can only
Beckham.
imagine who.
I'm out. I'm joking. Look, first and foremost, Mary doesn't know about Hoodie Knicks. Let's not scare her.
No, you need to know.
She doesn't know about
it.
Hoodie Knicks yet.
Hoodie Knicks
But
is different.
I don't
I
have
can
Hoodie Knicks
only
is
imagine.
I
gotta
came,
know.
I came in
Only
the bye
imagine.
week. Look, I came in
It's
the bye
bye
week
week.
without the clip loaded.
Hoodie Knicks will be
you
back
know,
next
I
week.
didn't.
Guaranteed.
Maybe Hoodie Knicks might agree. If I had
Regular
a hoodie
Knicks
close,
agree.
I would throw it on and see. But I don't know. We'll have to come back to it next
Does-
week.
Numbers.
I guarantee you
Spoonie-
this.
Does Odell Spoonie Jr. think that he can wear number 8?
I'm just saying. You're gonna
I would
say, hey,
love
bro,
to
your
be
choices
number
are number
8.
12, number 17. Numbers matter to players.
Can he get number 3?
No.
13? Who's 13? Who's 13 right
Gallup.
Michael Gallup.
now? Gallup will give it up.
He's not gonna give it up.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah,
All right. Next week,
Give him number 8.
hold on. Next week, I'll bring out the hoodie, and O can ask me the question, and we'll get the response from Hoodie Knicks.
Thank you.
That's
Basti.
what we'll do.
See, I agree with Massey. Like, I mean,
I don't think they'd be retired. Look, I don't personally. I don't like the 33 on Clark. Being honest with y'all, I don't like it on Clark. I don't like it for a linebacker. Period. But I'm old that way. I don't really care for it that round. But the 8, and that's what it is. The 8, 12, and 22 are weird. And look, whenever look, y'all might chastise me. Whenever we drafted Zeke, I was like, give him the 22. That'll be blessed. That'll be everything. Let him get the 22. I like it in right forms. Look, I like the 88 lineage. I like that. I like the 94 lineage to a certain extent. You know, I think the 54 lineage hasn't been done well enough, and they should cultivate that. But I like different numbers with lineage. When we talk about the 8, though, hold
You
on.
already gave out
8 for
88,
6.
so there's not another number out there to give. Give him number 8.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
can't there be?
We'll put a pin in it, and we'll discuss it more next week.
We're trying
That's
to
what
close,
actually,
guys.
Friday,
That's what we're. That's what it comes
Yeah.
down to. Trade deadlines, free agency. We say
Yeah.
the Cowboys need to
We
close.
gotta close.
That's a closing pitch. I'm bringing you in before the other teams.
And healthy OBJ
I'm bringing you
is
in, letting you
definitely
hang
a
out with
game
Dez.
changer
I'm putting
in
you
the
up there in the
playoffs.
booth with Jerry Jones. I'm gonna slap number 8 on you. That's how much I want you to
part.
play. That's how you close a player like that.
And actually,
Healthy
Friday,
OBJ is a game changer. Let's be clear. He's healthy. OBJ is a game changer.
if he's healthy, that's the
he's
key point.
healthy.
And get him here early. Let him see and meet with
Yeah.
our doctors matters.
If he's healthy,
sure.
he's a game changer for us. So
Right, big facts. He's bigger than a Cook signing if he's healthy. He's bigger than a Cook trade.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
You know, no ifs, ands, or buts. So with that being said, though, Mary, if you want to meet Hoodie Nicks, it'll be Friday. Just letting you know, Hoodie Nicks will be back in the building Friday, and we'll get in this question, and we'll see what happens. With that being said, we're up against it here. Shout out to our guy Mass in the building, and make sure, hey guys, hey, and real quick, make sure during the week, man, we have midday shows with people. Our guy Mass has a midday show. If you're not subbed yet, or if you are, well, if you're not subbed, you should already be subbed. But if you are subbed, make sure you get the notification bells. Our guy Mass has got a midday show every Thursday, man. That you got to come through and rock with it. And man, they're out here giving out T-shirts. If you get the score right, him and Camber, make sure you tuned in to our guy Mass here during the midday shows for sure. No ifs, ands, or buts
one thing
about
on the midday show, he has a segment called Midday Mass where he will forgive you for your trash takes that all of us have.
Yes.
All of us make that bold prediction is way off base.
It's true.
Or we proclaim a draft pick was a bust, and we're like, really, I was a little bit off there. That was my fault. My bad.
He
honestly, will forgive you of that. He will atone you of your sins. So whatever that bad take is, when someone tries to bring it up, you're like, no, I'm good, man. Mass forgave me. We're good. So he has a segment. You just have to tweet him. He'll put it out there on Twitter each week, and all you have to do is give him your trash take, and he will forgive you.
And here's what we got to do. Because we sit here, we just get a plate out. We eat crow over here. I'm through eating crow on this channel, on this show. We're just going to midday mass, so we get blessed, and we got to eat no more crow. And when anybody tries to comment, like, we went to midday mass, guys. We ain't got to eat crow. We already been forgiven.
Yes. I'm gonna say that on
Twitter. Oh man, that part. Robert, with that being said, Spoonie, post game.
Look, if getting OBJ is the next step, and that's what gets us over the top for this offense, and we've already improved the defense, and that takes us further in the playoffs than we've been in over 20 years. Am I gonna care that we gave up no? Like, if you have that trade off, you're gonna be like, no, we can't give up number 8. I think that's insane.
So what we learned tonight. Knicks, right? What we've learned tonight is Cowboys fans want to go all in, but they don't want to give up the second round pick for the receiver. They want to go all in, but they won't retire a number that's not even retired to give it to a player. Ultimately we just don't really want to go all in.
We don't want to go all in unless it's on our terms. That's been my point. Yeah. And look, and Stephen Jones is exactly the same way. He don't want to go all in unless it's on his terms. Yeah. Funny how that works. With that being said, guys, appreciate you as always. Friday for sure. We'll be back in the building at 8:30 p.m. Central, and we dropped the link. Y'all come up here, join us, talk, do whatever for the Freestyle Friday show for sure. Tomorrow will be the midday mass. Go over there, check out Massey on the midday tomorrow. Spoonie, we spacing out. I'm sorry. Odell Spoonie Jr. Excuse me, Odell Spoonie Jr.
Yes, sir.
Are we going to run a little space after this, or are we done?
Oh, no, I got to eat.
See, he's hungry. Apparently giving number 8 and all kinds of stuff. With that being said, check me on the backside. I'll go solo. I don't care. I'll go run a space, and we'll talk a little bit more. You have a safe night. Peace.